the right to express any of their views regarding how they're treated in the civil or criminal courts in this country. That's part of what free speech is all about. And frankly, it kind of bothers me that you see the other side here, Secretary Clinton especially, taking this kind of high and mighty position of hers, when Secretary Clinton's had a lot to say over the course of her career as well, regarding vast right-wing conspiracies that turned out not to exist, and impugning the integrity of lots of other people. So let's focus on what needs to be focused on here. And quite frankly, I think you all are paying much too much attention to this. I know why, but it doesn't occupy. I know you know why, and I know why. I mean, it's not going to occupy. Let me finish my answer. You excuse me, or you won't get a question. You know me. I won't do it. Fact is that the media loves controversy. The media loves to pay attention to this stuff and to work it up. I understand why. I've lived with that over the course of time too. But the fact of the matter is that I can guarantee you that people who are going to vote today in New Jersey and people who are going to vote in November are not going to make their decision based upon this kerfuffle. I guarantee you.
But in all fairness, isn't this inconsistent with what you said about your judicial nominations years ago, and when either race or ethnicity or religion is the focus?
No, listen, Matt, it's not inconsistent. When these are my nominations and when I'm defending people who I've nominated and who I know personally, I'm sure you're referring to Sohail Muhammad, and I knew Sohail personally, had worked with him for years. And so I knew that any allegations that Sohail, in that instance, was going to impose Sharia law or knew something about jihad, those were very specific things about someone that I knew personally. And when I have something to say about that, I'll say it. I don't know this judge. I don't know him personally. I don't know the history of the Trump University case. So I'm not going to get into speaking about all that. I've said this before, that I know Donald Trump. I've known him for 14 years. And Donald Trump is not a racist. So, the allegations that he is are absolutely contrary to every experience that I've had with him over the last 14 years. And so we're going to end it there.
So are those
Governor, Paul Ryan said
We're not going into that next.
Paul Ryan called it textbook racism today.
Listen, you know what? Congressman Ryan is entitled to his opinion, as is everybody else who has an opinion on this. I've expressed mine, and if all we're going to do is talk about this, I'm going to get in the car and go back because I've given you my opinion. You have other questions, I'm going to answer them.
Was it a mistake?
Michael, I am not going to get into critiquing of a campaign that we're in the middle of. There'll be plenty of times for post-mortem after the campaign is over, and you want to ask me about it then, that's fine. But I'm not going to microanalyze every bit of a campaign because you know what? The voters don't. And what matters here is winning and losing, first and foremost. And what matters here is where the country's direction will be after whoever wins this election. That's what I'm focused on. That's my job for Donald, is to focus on setting up a government. Unrelenting attack, mostly from Democrats, some from members of the media as well. To the extent that people read or care about this stuff, that affects it too.
Governor, what's your feeling on violence at Trump rallies?
Trump gets in New Jersey today.
No. I thought it was going to, but he's...
Do you think Mr. Trump's rhetoric has gone too far? Was there any point when you said, wow, that went over the limit?
I am sure, if I sat back and thought about it, that there would be times that I would think that there were things that he said that he shouldn't have said. Quite frankly, he's admitted that over time there are things that he said that he shouldn't have said. But that happens to anybody in politics who speaks their mind. If you have this many microphones and cameras in front of you on a regular basis, and you're not, a pre-programmed robotic politician, you're going to make some statements at times that you wish you could take back. I've done it, he's done it, and anybody who's honest in this business has done it. So that doesn't make him any different than anybody else who has run for office before. And frankly, from my perspective, it's refreshing to have somebody who is willing to speak their mind and is not reading from the script. There's lots of things you could say about Donald. He's not reading from. So quite frankly,
fighting poverty successfully. And the problem we have had in government for too long is we think the way to fight poverty is to treat its symptoms. Yes. And when we treat the symptoms of poverty, we perpetuate poverty. We need to go at the root causes of poverty to break the cycle of poverty. And we should measure success based on results, outcomes. Are our efforts working to actually get people out of poverty instead of measuring success based on input by effort? Are we spending enough money? Do we have enough programs? Or do we have enough people on these programs? So what you're getting here is a new approach at fighting poverty, at reigniting this beautiful concept of upward mobility, at going at root causes of poverty. And what we've learned, all of us who've gone around America to learn and to listen, to do listening sessions and town hall meetings, and to listen from the Bishop Shirleys of the world, that is, don't displace and crowd out and push aside the people in our communities in the front lines fighting poverty. That's not the lesson. The lesson is get out of their way, support them, back them up, because they know what they're doing. They know how to get people out of poverty. There's a very important role for government to play here, but that's got to be bottom up, not top down. Government can provide resources, but Pastor Shirley and the millions of people around America with her kind of potential and success are the ones who fight poverty eye to eye, soul to soul, person to person. That's what this is about. And so this is just the first installment of our attempt to have a dialogue and our conversation with our fellow citizens about how we get our country back on track. 7 out of 10 Americans know that America is not going in the right direction. And when we have such persistent poverty in our country, we know we're not heading in the right direction. So we have an obligation, and we have a great opportunity to get it right. This is the first installment. Again, go to our website, better.gop, and we will be updating it as we go. And this is what we believe is necessary to give our fellow citizens a clear choice. That's what we're doing here in Congress, and I just can't thank Shirley Holloway enough for what you've done to inspire us and for hosting us here today. Thank you, Shirley. Questions?
Announcing your support, Mr. Trump's been attacking.
Told you it was going to get
and Mexican heritage. You've disavowed these comments, but do you have any regrets about your endorsement?
I disavow these comments. I regret those comments that he made. I don't think claiming a person can't do their job because of their race is sort of like the textbook definition of a racist comment. I think that should be absolutely disavowed. It's absolutely unacceptable. But do I believe that Hillary Clinton is the answer? No, I do not. Do I believe that Hillary Clinton is going to be the answer to solving these problems? I do not. I believe that we have more common ground on the policy issues of the day, and we have more likelihood of getting our policies enacted with him than we do with her. But I absolutely disavow this. I think they're wrong. I don't think they're right-headed. And the thinking behind it is something I don't even personally relate to. But at the end of the day, this is about ideas. This is about moving our agenda forward, and that's why we're moving the way we're moving. Manny.
How concerned are you that you spend a lot of time on this agenda, that he makes comments like these, it's going to undercut what your party is trying to sell you?
I do think these kinds of comments undercut these things, and I'm not going to even pretend to defend them. I'm going to defend our ideas. I'm going to defend our agenda. What matters to us most is our principles and the policies that come from those principles and our ability to give the people of this country a better way forward. A better way is what we're up to here. And we believe we have a better likelihood of passing that than we would have with President Clinton.
When you were in Columbia, South Carolina back in January, that's the last time you were talking at length about poverty. Donald Trump...
In public.
Donald Trump was not one of the Republican presidential candidates who showed up. You said at the time that you hoped that he would, if he was the nominee, that he would go to some urban centers and talk about poverty in a way that the economy did not do in 2012. Two-part question. First, I'm wondering if he is on board with these specific policies that you've laid out today, if you briefed him on them fully. And second, have you talked to him specifically about going to some of these cities while he campaigns for president?
I haven't talked to him about where he should campaign. I have discussed with him the tone of his campaign, the ideas, and we have had an exhaustive discussion about these policies. Not just our teams, but ourselves personally. We've talked about welfare to work. We've talked about this agenda and the policies contained in this agenda, and that is why I believe that we are far better off advancing these policies, getting them in law with his candidacy than we clearly are with the Hillary Clinton candidacy.
What do you make of Donald Trump doubling down on those remarks about the judge and essentially saying that they go out there and fight it?
I just fundamentally disagree with that. I think it's wrong. The way I look at this is, if you say something that's wrong, I think the mature and responsible thing is to acknowledge it was wrong.
Does his campaign need help? Does he need better people around him?
I'm not going to comment on that. We got enough work to do here in the House to comment about people running their campaigns. One. I don't know what's in his heart, but I think that comment itself is defined that way. So I'm not going to defend these kinds of comments because they're indefensible. I'm going to defend our ideas. I'm going to defend our majority. And I think our likelihood of getting these ideas into law are far more likely if we are unified as a party. And so I see it as my job as Speaker of the House to help keep our party unified. I think if we go into the fall as a divided party, we are doomed to lose. And that is why I'm going to be focusing on these ideas, these solutions, and not attempt to try and defend the indefensible.
Actually have a policy question.
Thank you so much. I told Shirley, I'm like, I 10 to 1, they're going to be asking these political questions.
Here in the District of Columbia today, the local DC Council is expected to vote for a $15 minimum wage by 2020. They see people who are working in the city but aren't able to make ends meet or still in poverty. What do you think of that move and other jurisdictions who are doing that? Is a better way possibly?
No, I think that will actually do more harm than good in so many instances, because what it does is it prices entry-level jobs away from people. Look, I started working at McDonald's in the quarter grill at McDonald's at minimum wage, and it was a great way to learn skills. The problem is when you price jobs out of place from people who are starting, they're not going to get a start. There are far better ways of helping economic growth. There are so many things contained in this reform plan that shows a better way to get people up and on their feet. Look, remember, this is one of 6 things we're going to be rolling out. The rest of our agenda is going to be dealing with getting a faster growing economy, having more upward mobility, having more take-home pay, and there are better ways of achieving economic growth and upward mobility than a reform that the CBO says could cost millions of jobs.
Last question. But you do have a lot of families who are earning minimum wage, $7 an hour, give or take. That isn't enough to survive in the city.
That's exactly right.
How is restricting or keeping a cap on the minimum wage able to help people lift out of poverty?
We're not keeping a cap on the minimum wage. The whole point is having an economy that bids up wages. The whole purpose of our agenda is not capping wages, it's unleashing wages, and it's having the kind of economy and economic growth and the kind of skills training, the kind of education, the kind of welfare to work programs that help get people better jobs in a better economy that has more promising future for them. That's what this is all about. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.